It's strawberry story time!
Hello, little berries, welcome back. Do you know who likes eating strawberries? Hedgehogs love strawberries. And today's story is about a hedgehog called Spikey, and he's going on an adventure. And we're going too. Come on. Welcome to Spikey's world. Hello, I am Grandma Hedgehog, and I'm here to tell you about my grandson, Spikey. He is a hedgehog like I am, but to be honest with you, he is a very special hedgehog. He lives in a wonderful big park. It might just cover the whole wide world. People call it Regent's Park, and it's in London, England. Every day, he wakes up in the park and he is excited to see where new adventures will take him. A special feature in this book is the quiz questions you get to answer. On the left-hand side is for the younger readers to answer, and on the right-hand side is for the older readers to answer, think about, or discuss. If you want to take part in the quiz, pause the video and tell your grown-up the answers. I think being a hedgehog is pretty amazing. We have been walking around on the earth for almost 15 million years, and we have hardly changed. We are curious and slightly nosy. In fact, our noses wiggle when we smell something interesting, and we love discovering new things. We cannot see very well, but we make up for it with a good sense of hearing and an excellent sense of smell, and we are always hungry. I am now very old for a hedgehog, over 7 winters, and I have seen many things. My great joy in life is looking after Spikey. I love him dearly and think he's wonderful. In many ways, he is just like most other hedgehogs, handsome, with a wiggly nose, spikes and a big appetite. Apart from one little detail, one of his back legs is thinner and shorter than the other one. It has never bothered him, but when he was very young, his brothers and sisters and all the other little hedgehogs laughed at him because he couldn't run as fast as they could. He was so small back then that they didn't think he was a real hedgehog and they wouldn't be friends with him. Growing up, Spikey spent lots of time talking to and learning from me, so he was never really lonely. He knew that the other young hedgehogs were bigger and stronger and faster than him. When the days became long and the air became warm, the others set off together during the night in small groups of 2 and 3. He asked to go with them, but they just laughed and said he could not keep up, so they did not want him. They all left our cosy nests to find their own way in the world and became adult hedgehogs. Spikey was left behind, but after lots and lots of thinking, his curious nose began to twitch, and he decided it was his turn to leave too. Each night he looked into the darkness and tried to build up the courage to explore the world by himself. Boy, that must have been scary for him. So scary. Can you imagine how hard that decision was? So he decided that the night time was still too much for him. And early one morning, he hugged me one last time and waved me goodbye. Now it is just him, on his own, learning to stand on his 4 little feet. I do worry about him. He left me with a twinkle in his eye and a smile in his voice, but with no other little hedgehogs to guide him. He set out into the morning light. Although we hedgehogs prefer the darkness and safety of night, I do hope he can keep out of sight and find his own way, and that his inner hedgehog senses of right and wrong and safety and danger will guide him on his journey. More than anything, I really hope he can find some friends, and maybe a slug or a beetle or a juicy worm or 2. He's too thin. Chapter 1. Early one morning, Spikey woke, stretched and tasted the air. It certainly seemed like it was going to be another normal day. It had been wet all night, but now it had finally stopped raining and the early morning sun was shining softly. The air was clean and fresh, the birds were singing, and Spikey ventured out of his cosy nest among the roots and leaves of an old tree trunk. Spikey wandered through the park, sniffing, his little nose pushing through the grass. He limped a little and was not very fast, but he was determined not to turn back. Spikey kept walking, and soon the sun rose and climbed up and up through the sky. He walked further and further, and the rain started up again, but this time much stronger and wilder than before. When the clouds finally broke, the sun had started to fall towards the distant horizon, and then the shadows awoke, and they too started to stretch and grow. Spikey trudged through the wet grass, and the water that had dripped down every spike onto the little hedgehog's back now soaked deep, all the way to his skin, making him feel cold. Spikey was looking for something. He loved fruit and sweet things, especially the yummy strawberries and blueberries that he sometimes found growing wild in the park. Today, there were not many, so he thought that maybe other hedgehogs had found them first as they had wandered quietly through the night. Spikey felt a little rumble in his tummy, and he knew he was now getting really hungry. Suddenly, he heard a faint, sad noise. "Is that someone crying?" he thought. "Where is it coming from? Who can it be?" The little sniffs made Spikey's heart sink. He did not like anyone to be unhappy, and he was worried that he may not be able to find out who was crying. So he headed in the direction of the sound, and there, between the long grasses and hiding under a big oak leaf, was a baby ladybird, looking very upset. "Hello, little ladybird. Why are you crying?" Spikey asked softly, not wanting to scare her. "That wild rain has made my wings really, really wet, and I cannot fly home." The little ladybird sniffed. "Mummy and Daddy will be preparing dinner, and I am not there. It's going to be dark soon, and I have never been out in the darkness all on my own before." The park can be scary at night. I know because I'm a bit scared of it too. "Maybe I can help you," said Spikey. The ladybird stopped crying and asked timidly, "I thought hedgehogs loved the dark, and how can you help me?" Spikey thought there was too much to explain, so he said, "You may crawl onto my back and I will carry you home. What do you think?" The little ladybird looked up at the tall, sharp spikes on Spikey's back. "But you are made of great big thorns. Where can I sit so I will be safe?" Spikey thought about this for a little while. "Okay, I can see that my spikes would not be so comfy, but you may sit on my nose. It's soft and warm. What do you think?" said Spikey. "Your nose might be soft and warm, Mr. Hedgehog, but it's also just above your great big mouth," she wailed. "What must this little ladybird think of me?" Spikey wondered. That is the question Grandma Hedgehog would certainly ask if she were here. Finally, he understood. "Do not worry, little ladybird," he said. "I won't harm you. I am a very friendly hedgehog, and I am different from all the others. None of the other hedgehogs played with me, so I had to change the way I think and behave." The little ladybird looked suspicious. "How do you do that?" "Well, I am just different. Unlike all the other hedgehogs, I am now awake all day and I sleep all night. I changed my natural habits so I could find my own way in the world. I don't want to eat you, little ladybird. I want to help you, and maybe one day, if you would like it, to be your friend. Do you think you can trust me?" The little ladybird stopped and thought. She thought about all the stories her family had told her about the wandering giants with thorns. Then she looked at Spikey's kind face, his gentle eyes, and his funny twitching nose, and she thought about that too. Making up her own mind, she crawled up onto Spikey's nose. "Yes, thank you," she agreed, then sniffed, with the beginnings of a smile. "I think you are a good one." Once she had settled comfortably, the little hedgehog introduced himself properly. "My name is Spikey. What's yours?" he said, making sure to keep his nose balanced and still, and almost twitchless, which is surprisingly hard when that's all it really does. "Well, we ladybirds don't have names like many other animals," the little ladybird explained, a little sadly. "I'm an insect, you see, and that means I have so many brothers and sisters that we all have very similar names. I was the 9th one to hatch, so my name is Spotty 9. I don't like being just another Spotty, and I wish I had a special name of my own. My grandma said everyone should have a special name. That includes ladybirds, so you must have a name that you love." Spikey thought for a while. "How about Stripey? Do you like that?" The little ladybird looked at all her beautiful black spots and giggled. "I have spots on my back, not stripes. But it is funny and special. And I will be the only ladybird in the whole wide world called Stripey. Thank you, Spikey. I love it." Chapter 2. Spikey was glad to have made Stripey happy. He trundled along with the little ladybird sitting on his nose and giving him directions. After a while, they came across a fox with his head far down a hole and his long tail sticking right up in the air like a fluffy red and white chimney. "Hello, Mr. Fox. What are you doing?" asked Spikey, completely forgetting his grandma's words of warning about foxes. "Are you playing a game?" "I am not playing a game," barked the fox, his voice sounding muffled from underground. "I was looking for food in this hole and now I am stuck. Will you help me, whoever you are? I have been stuck here for 3 moonrises and I am very, very hungry." "Oh dear," exclaimed Spikey, still not realising the danger. "That is very bad luck. Let us try something." He put the little ladybird down, and together they grabbed the fox by his tail and tried to pull him out of the hole. 1, 2, 3, heave! Ordered Spikey. But the fox's head remained stuck. "Again!" shouted Spikey. 1, 2, 3, heave! The fox's head slowly started to appear, but they could see his ears had now become stuck. "Try to wiggle your ears, Mr. Fox," shouted Stripey. Then Spikey called, "One last time. 1, 2, 3, heave!" Finally, with a wiggle and a jiggle and a slight pop, the fox's head jerked back out of the hole. Chapter 3. They all lay panting on the grass. Uncorking foxes is hard work. The fox cast his eyes around and then looked slyly at Spikey. "Well, that was very convenient," said the fox. "I see you are a tasty little hedgehog, so I'm going to eat you because I'm so hungry. And I can eat this soggy ladybird too for my dessert." Spikey started to tremble because, at that moment, he remembered what his grandma had told him. Beware of foxes. They can easily chew you up. But it was too late now, and he had to think quickly. Well, Mr. Fox, we helped you, said Spikey, trying to sound like a parent fox, which is not easy to do when you look like a hedgehog. Yes, you can eat us. Or you could be our friend and help us. Spikey was speaking with a newfound bravery he never knew he had. I eat insects, but I am helping my new friend Stripey to get home because her wings are too wet to fly. Please, Mr. Fox, will you think again? Instead of eating us, would you help get this little ladybird home safely? Why would I do that? Asked the fox, surprised by the courage of the little hedgehog, who reminded him of his father, which he found very confusing. Because we have just helped you get your fat head out of a hole, and now we deserve to be your friends, and not your supper, said Stripey. The fox paused. Something inside him was pulling his thinking in two different directions. Then his stomach let out a long, hollow growl all by itself. Stripey tugged at Spikey's spikes and whispered, "Let's go now." Spikey waited, feeling confused. I imagined Mr. Fox would be happy to be freed from that hole, he thought. But then he saw the flash of the fox's eyes and his long, sharp teeth. Finally, his hedgehog sense took over. "Stripey, hang on. I'm curling. And with that, the little hedgehog rolled himself into the very tightest ball he could. It was just in time, as he felt the snap of the fox's jaws around him. "Ow!" shouted Spikey. "Ow!" howled the fox. "Ow!" squeaked Stripey as she jumped from spike to spike and away from those snapping jaws. "Wings! Wings!" she shouted, but they were still too weak after getting wet. Snap! 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 "Ow! Ow! Ow!" All three owed. "We can't stay here," shouted Stripey. "You need to roll." "Where to?" cried Spikey, feeling more and more scared. He wished his grandma and every hedgehog in the world were here to help him. But he wasn't alone now. "Follow my orders," shouted Stripey. "There's a fence over there by the park keeper's hut. It has a hole in it. Let's go. Forwards and to the left. Go, go, go." Snap! "Ow, ow, ow!" wailed Stripey. "What does left mean?" cried Spikey. "Your funny leg side," shouted Stripey, forgetting to be polite. Snap! "Ow, ow, ow!" Stripey whimpered. Now Spikey understood which way to go. He was lucky to have different legs. What would he have done if they were all the same? Snap! "Ow, ow, ow!" howled Spikey and Stripey in unison. There was no time to think about his different leg now. Spikey began to roll forwards and to the left. "You're doing it, Spikey! You're going forwards and to the left," shouted Stripey, jumping up and down among the stripes herself. She was trying to avoid those snapping jaws and also see where they needed to go. It was hard. Snap! "Ow! Ow! Ow!" Spikey and Stripey exclaimed together again. "Keep rolling, Spikey, you're doing so well. And now to the right," cried Stripey. "What does right mean?" squeaked Spikey, starting to panic. "Not left," yelled Stripey, finding it really hard to hang on. She had never driven a hedgehog before. It was not easy. Spikey understood what she meant, his other leg side. Snap! "Ow! Ow! Ow!" they both cried once more. They were rolling and rolling towards the fence, But Spikey was getting tired, and he hurt. Stripey was getting tired too, and she hurt from both all the jumping around on Spikey's sharp spikes and avoiding the fox's frightening sharp teeth. Even the fox was getting tired. He had not eaten for days. He was growing weaker and weaker, and this was such a sharp hedgehog. Suddenly everything changed. All three found themselves facing another danger, something bigger and much, much worse, and it was right in front of them. Spikey was so scared that he just stopped rolling. He couldn't move any further forwards no matter how hard he tried. He just froze. The fox froze too. He was very tired and very sore, and he could barely move. Hunger and pain had finally caught up with him, and now he was looking straight up into the eyes of danger. Just in front of them, there was a hound who belonged to the park keeper, and he was very big. Oh my goodness! Poor Spikey and Stripey. I wonder what's going to happen next. Don't forget to come back for part 2 of Spikey.